Okay, we are live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks again for tuning in to Police Off the Cuff After Hours. My name is Mark DeMayo. I'm your host. I'm here with my partner in all things law enforcement, the very handsome Bill Cannon. What's up, Bill?
Looking forward to tonight's show. We got a real gamer on, Guy's got more credentials than you and me put together.
I know, yeah, this is gonna take a minute, folks.
But he can't tell any jokes, though. He has no jokes.
He's got jokes. We'll lose.
I got jokes.
He's a former Army captain, served in Iraq. He's a former special agent with the Department of Homeland Security. Right now, he's a nationally recognized expert on Homeland Security and the border. He has a book entitled Unwavering, A Border Agent's Journey, and he is the host of a very popular show called The Protectors. Let's welcome Dr. Jason Piccolo, folks.
Jason, is it Piccolo or Piccolo?
It's Piccolo, just like Brian Piccolo.
Brian, we talked about that. The Bears' great running back. Remember, and Brian's song was the movie.
Well, here's a funny. I do have. Well, it's not really a joke. So my wife's in the FBI. Hey, you know what? We'll give them their props for some of the stuff they've done. But she goes to Philadelphia, and the whole time we've been married, 20-something years, they're always talking about Brian Piccolo. She's always like, are you related to Brian Piccolo? And she's like, no. She goes to Philly, and the first thing the FBI supervisor says to her is, are you related to Tony the Buck Piccolo? He used to run one of the mobs in Philly. And she's like, no. So we start Googling Tony the Buck Piccolo. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go. Maybe he's one of my uncles or something like that from Brooklyn.
Yeah, only I could screw that up. I actually, I'm friends with a comic. Her name is Capone, the last name. And for some reason, I call her Capone, so that's stuck. I don't know what's wrong with you when it comes to last names, but only I can screw that up. I hear an echo.
Yeah, it was my phone was on. That's all right. I turned it off.
Bill likes to listen to himself while he's on the air. He likes.
No, I followed the live chat on my phone, so I can tell how many people are in the live chat.
That's why he wears the headphones. He listens to his voice after he talks, just so he can see. Wow, I sound so good. So, where are you?
I'm in right outside of DC and literally in my basement. So this is my basement thing. Yeah, it's nice. I can't complain. I used to do it in like an open area. Is that really
your background, or is that a green screen?
No, it's really the background. I'll give you a little. There's my.
That's nice wood over there.
Yeah, I did it myself when they
had the rifles on the wall there. Oh wow!
Got some lever action. You know what? It's a lever action life. I'm a big fan of lever actions.
You're following the long line of people who are doing better than me. So that's another thing that Bill does great. He books people that have doing a lot better than me.
No. This is a 70s house, and this used to be a dark room, and I ripped it out. Had like the 70s carpet in here, and I found some stuff. Did it all myself. Had my daughter out here knocking nails and doing everything else. So it was. Really, you guys are where it's at. Now, the police, I could talk about the police all day long. You guys like the NYPD. Come on. There we are. That's the real deal.
We had the good fortune of serving on a police department that's highly recognized, probably the most recognized police department in the world. A lot of TV shows based on it. And, that was one of the things that attracted me to the job. But, you stop thinking about it once you get on the job. But it is, a lot of TV shows are based off of it and movies and stuff.
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. I was born in Boonton, New Jersey, right outside, not that far away from the city. And growing up, I always wanted to be a cop, as long as I can remember. I wanted to be a soldier and I wanted to be a cop. And that's one of the reasons I joined the Army, because I eventually wanted to be a cop. But it turns out that after all the travels, I ended up going to the Fed world. But I used to always look back then. It was this was the early 90s, and it used to be like they had the housing authority cops, and then transit.
Yep.
It was like, I think it was like $19,000 a year, and I was like, oh wow, that'd be awesome.
I remember one time I went up to talk to somebody in the FBI. It was in Tower 2 in the World Trade Center. They had an office there, and I remember walking into the office with my partner, and here we are. We're working in the warrant squad. We have we're in jeans and these Carhartt jackets, a vest underneath it with a baseball jersey, a baseball hat, and we walk in this guy. They got the carpet, like it's got the the eagle on it.
Yep.
There's air conditioning, and there's like a desk with a receptionist, and they escort us in, and everybody's got their own little cubicle. It's carpeted, and they got pictures of their family. I'm like, oh my God, look at this work environment. You have to come to see where I work. I have to use I used to use a baseball bat to hit the wall 3 times just to get the rats out of the room so I can go into the lunchroom.
Well, you know, we could tell FBI stories all day long. If they're not stealing your case, then they used to, back in the day, this was even early 2000s, is when they wrote their 302s, their forms, they would have like their admin staff type their reports for them, and they would dictate. I'm like, I can't even imagine that.
That's what Joe Pistone did. He didn't type his stuff. He called the guy on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Told it, and the guy, I guess, typed it or recorded it. But you know something. Let's get to the chase too. The NYPD and the feds never liked each other.
No.
And maybe guys that work like Joint Terrorist Task Force, Joint Bank Robbery Task Force, maybe they get along with the feds. But most cops, like when they came up to Manhattan North, I was in homicide. We looked at them like, dude, here, go get me a coffee. Are you kidding me? You know. No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
You know, one time they came to our office when I was in Warrants, and they wanted to go on a hit in Washington Heights. And you know, we're listening to the attack plan, and we're all looking at each other like, this isn't going to work at all. Because what they did, and they just wanted us on the peripheral, was they drove down the block. They parked their cars. They went into their trunk. They put on their flak jackets. They got their weapon, and then they all started going in through the front. And I'm like, this is a block where they sell kilos in the street, hand-to-hand kilos. They deal in the street. They have lookouts on the roofs with binoculars, and they have walkie-talkies. They tell each other that, you know, they know every single police car in the freaking command. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to try. This is what you're going to try and do. So we just laughed, and we stayed on the peripheral, and then we just went back to breakfast.
I'm not gonna. My last time busting the FBI, I'm gonna hear it all day. I don't know if she's watching this right now or not. But anyway, when I was on a height of task force. Like when you say you're on task forces, that's a lot of times when you get to the ground level, the ground truth, what's going on out there. And we had to work this case with the FBI because they had the informant, and they show up, and this is height of San Diego, so it's pretty popular, pretty active, and they show up. All of them have Broncos, like old school Broncos. That was supposed to be their vehicle that they're gonna blend in the environment. And like 2 of them had like cardigan sweaters on, and I'm like, you're showing up to do dope deals with cardigan sweaters on, and driving the same vehicles but different colors. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Hey, since we, you know, this is an interesting time to have you on the show because you are actually a border patrol agent. And right now we are at crisis supposedly at the border. It's hard to get a real idea of what's actually going down. If you read Fox News daily, there's a crisis. There's an urgency. There's you know, it's very, very bad at the border. And then if you listen to another news news station, you'll hear nothing about it at all. So what do you think is going on down there? Do you know?
No, you're not going to see what's going on right now. Traffic is up 560% in certain areas. The unaccompanied children coming across the border, 163%. And there's nowhere. I have to explain the border so people understand how the whole process works, because it's amazing that nobody understands how complex it really is. So you have someone coming across the border. We're going to say a single adult comes up across the border. 2,000 miles. So East Coast, think about going from Maine to Miami on Route 95. That is the actual size of the border. And that's how much you would need to have fences and technology and agents. Right now on the Southwest border, I think we have about 16,000 agents. Remember, these operations go 365 days, 24/7, 3 shifts. And that doesn't include, taking people out for management, for leave, for everything else. So you have that finite amount of agents to patrol that much border. And a border isn't like, hey, you know what, I'm going to go, it's not like a city block where you know where you're going to be able to find people. This is such a porous area to come across that you could be like hundreds of miles and not see a person, not see a thing. So that border is crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy.
But Jason, the
yeah.
big thing about it is the politics of it, which is disgusting.
Yep,
They're
absolutely.
not protecting the American people. They're not protecting the people that live there. The press does not report it because they're all for the left, and it's disgraceful. Report the story, you know.
Yeah, but if you go down there, if they do report it, they're doing a daytime shot next to a fence, just like that picture right there. They'll go up next to a fence and take a picture during the day when you're not going to have as much traffic coming across, the dangerous type of traffic. Now you're going to see the family units and mass migration coming through the day because they see, like, I don't know if the audience can see that picture of a family unit. A family will come up to the border. They'll say, hey, you know what? They'll go to the port of entry, or they'll go up, a border patrol agent will find them. They're going to get processed. And when they get processed, they'll get issued a notice to appear. And that means a notice to appear in front of an immigration judge. Now, that gives them the leeway of, before we could keep them detained for up to a certain amount of time. When it comes to family units, you can only keep them detained for 20 days based on the Flores agreement or amendment. So they were, after that 20 days, they would be released into the United States, handed a piece of paper, and then they were supposed to show up by themselves on their own fruition to an immigration court. How many do you think are actually showing up?
None of them.
So no, none of them are.
Yeah.
Now we have catch and release. You catch them, you release them into the interior of their country, and everybody gets their chance to see an immigration judge. Guess how many immigration judges we have right about now?
I'm sure almost none.
We have, think about it this way. We have 1 million plus backlog cases, and that's a low number. So we have 490 judges to see all these new cases coming in, if they actually show up. And then for the backlog cases, 490. And oh, by the way, the judges work for the Department of Justice. All the border operations work for Customs and Border Protection. And oh, by the way, we have Health and Human Services who deal with all the kids coming across by themselves. So you have 3 different agencies, 3 different bureaucracies, and then you have the political shitstorm. Can I swear?
Well, you can say, Jason, something. Let's really call it what it is. In this new administration, the vice president who he put in charge of the border hasn't been there.
Nope.
I mean, so you can see it's a damn joke. It's an absolute joke.
The border czar hasn't been there in 64 days or 65 days. I don't think she's been there since the administration started.
No. Hey, Bill, just so you know, you've had this picture up for a while now on the screen.
Yeah, he was talking about it. So
all right.
I wanted to keep it up there so they could see what was.
Yeah, I remember when that picture came out, and it was this was under the Trump administration. They were trying to say that I think it was by the San Ysidro port of entry, and that's where the family units were staging to kind of rush the border, and they were trying to disperse them back to Mexico. And they shot a canister out there, and they were saying, oh, they're shooting rubber bullets at kids. But it doesn't, in reality, if they come up to the border and claim asylum now, they're going to get their day in court. Because remember, the asylum officers are not law enforcement. So they have to do the interview of these people and determine whether or not they're lying to them. So it's this whole thing. And let's take out the variable of South America. South Americans, Central Americans, Mexicans, take all them out of the variable. When you have other countries, let's say a special interest alien country, somewhere where they could be potentially bad actors, a lot of them transit in through Dubai into Brazil, and then they jump on the Southwest Corridor trafficking routes, and they're right up to our Southwest border. When they get to our Southwest border, they do the same thing. They go up to the border and say, I'm here to claim asylum. Oh, by the way, these people, and your police, I want to look at this as the micro level. Let's say you have an alien coming in from Somalia, and it's a single male. He gets to the Southwest border. The Border Patrol takes him, brings him in and processes him. An ICE intel officer goes and talks to this person. And when they talk to them, they say, hey, by the way, how could you afford the $20,000 it costs to get a plane ticket and come up? And so many of the stories would be something like, oh, my mom sold a car. We sold land. We did this.
It's like Scarface.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy, man. It's exactly like it's like that.
And he goes, I'm claiming political asylum. How do you get the scar on your face?
Well, because they're going to be
exactly.
they're going to be indentured servants, and they're going to have to pay off these cartels for years who sponsored them to come in.
Well, I'm talking. Let's take those variables out, and let's talk about the Somalian again. Now, the ICE officer runs him through all the databases, everything. NCIC hits up Interpol, runs everything we have on him, and says, "Oh, there's nothing there." So he goes to see the asylum officer. They give him one of those notices of appears, or they give him some other paperwork to come in for review later on, and he's off. He's off into the interior of the United States, and a lot of times we'll fly him there. Now, you know just as well as I do, if you've never been encountered by law enforcement, you've never been encountered by the IC, the intelligence community, you don't have a record. You could be in any terrorist camp, you could be in anywhere, but if you've never been encountered, never had your picture taken, and never had any suspicious activity, now you're here. And I'm not trying to be one of these people who are like conspiracy theorists, this, that, or whatever. But it only takes one, or it only takes 19. But how many have come across the border from these areas that just aren't good people?
Forget about it.
And it's not just that. Even the MS-13s.
Yep,
the Salvatruchas. All these people that get into this country, they just set up camp.
How many people are coming in every day?
Oh, while we're on here, I'll pull up some stats real quick.
People coming in a day, I think, something like that.
It's crazy amount. And if everybody out there, you could these
because here's something interesting. The idea that we have when we watch the news is when we think about these migrant caravans, that they're walking all the way from wherever it is they come from.
Not. Nope.
And then you see people sitting there at the point of entry. And they have a fully charged cell phone. They're not sweating. They don't look like they missed a meal. Fully hydrated. So they're basically just getting a ticket to get to the closest, place that they can get to that border, and then probably taking a cab and jumping out. Thanks, an Uber. They can take an Uber to the border and go claim asylum. I'm not even kidding.
And that's what the sad thing about it is. You're not kidding. And, think about it this way. You guys mentioned I was a captain, and I was an infantry captain. I did a tour in Iraq. But just logistics to moving a division of people, let's say 3,500 soldiers or whatever, or battalion, brigade, whatever you want to call it. Think about the hundreds of thousands, millions that are coming from South America, picking up Guatemala and cruising up here. The logistics, just think sanitation. Where do they all take a shit? They're setting up camps everywhere. I mean, this is just, literally food, water, everything on our way up here.
Jason, I want to ask you a big question. And we know this gets political because this new administration is just letting them flow through the borders. Like, why are they doing it? Let's ask the why. Why?
Foothold, amnesty. They want to get here. Think about it this way.
No, why are the Democrats doing it? Why are they allowing this?
It's eventually going to be voters. We know that.
Instant Democrats, right?
Instant Democrats, instant population.
Well, that's
going to sway.
A lot of these people are coming from places where, you don't know what their political history is. They could be conservative from wherever they're coming from. Do you know how many Trump supporters are over there in these other countries?
None.
No, a lot.
But the reason they'll vote Democrat is because they're being allowed into this country by Democrats.
But that doesn't mean they're going to vote for that. That's like when you're saying, we're letting, Florida's letting all these people in, all these
from Cuba. And think about the Cubans. I love when they interview Cubans. I love it because they're like, screw that. We don't want socialism. We don't want this shit. We want strong borders.
Even in Mexico, they had a huge
Tijuana.
The huge Trump support in Mexico.
Tijuana did not want to see this hundreds of thousands of people coming up to the southwest border. Not at all. And think about it. Tijuana, there's bad areas. There's bad everywhere, but there's money down there. A lot of narco money, a lot of real money, because there's a lot of corporations right across the border, like legit corporations.
Well, Bill mentioned this. He mentioned being sponsored by the cartel to come to this country. What about the people that are sponsored by, I don't know, maybe some progressive group wherever you are, there's a sign-up sheet. Come, we'll pay for your flight. You know what I'm saying? We'll pay for you'll be housed, food, and you'll get into the country. Just a progressive group with these, these massive fundings, backed by Soros or whoever you could, I don't know, Bill Gates, whoever you think of.
Well, and that's what the funny thing is. Like, I shouldn't say it's funny, but the Soros and Bill Gates are just one part of the billionaires that are out there that want to sway whatever public opinion or sway whatever they want to do. Now that the Southwest border, man, it's just everybody wants to get across the border now because they're thinking that amnesty is going to come. Amnesty either via executive order or through immigration reform. And there's nothing going to happen when it comes to immigration.
Don't you think it would have been a great excuse to close down the borders if you would have just given amnesty to the people that are already in the country? You would have gained the favor for everybody. There's no more illegals. Just come out. Obviously, if you're wanted or if you have a criminal history, you're probably not going to get the amnesty. You're probably going to get deported. But anybody else who's here working legit and has been here for whatever time, give them amnesty, and this way you have a justification for shutting down the border. Let's straighten out this mess that we have here. Let's make sure we make all these people Americans. That's what should have been done.
I'm not going to say I don't agree with you, but there's got to be a vetting system in place. There's got to be some sort of
already here.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to give someone a lawfully a lab or a green card or something like that, there's got to be some way to bring them in and document them to make sure that they're not criminals, not sex offenders.
Yeah, but Jason, when does the U.S. taxpayer say enough? We're done paying for these people. Then they come up with these progressive ideas like comprehensive basic income. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who's
going to work?
Right,
who is going to work?
Exactly. Anyway. Human nature is about motivation.
I'll be like, hey guys, I'm doing a 24-hour podcast because I don't have to work. I'm just going to hang in my basement. You guys can watch it.
Think about it. They were inviting all these people in, and then they're also giving $300 a week to people to still not work. So who do you think is going to fill up these jobs that are these Americans that are here? That money's going to get cut off. Florida already cut off the money. That guy, I love that guy.
I love that guy too, man. I hope he's the next nominee for president.
He just cut off.
Yeah.
He will.
He just cut off the $300. You're not allowed to get it anymore.
And he's also bitch slapping tech. Because they're
you're allowed to sue Facebook now.
Right, they're silencing that guy Zuckerberg. He's the biggest weasel on this earth. He grew up.
If the screen goes blank, you know what happened.
Yeah, they shut us down. Hey, it happens in lots of ways.
Let's talk law enforcement in the Southwest border. Let's just talk about the Southwest border and its effect on federal law enforcement. Now, you have, let's say, millions of people coming up to that Southwest border, getting ready to came across hundreds of thousands. In order to process each one of those bodies, you need a body to process. So you need a law enforcement officer to go up and putting in data, running fingerprints, stuff like that. Now,
you should defund the police because they don't need that money to do that. They should have the politicians do that.
Well,
defund. Yeah.
The Office of Personnel Management, and this goes all federal ways, everywhere. The Office of Personnel Management runs the federal government hiring and all the other, all this crap. Put out a thing a couple months ago and wanted volunteers to go to the Southwest border from every federal agency, I think. Now, all these law enforcement agencies, including ICE, sending people to the Southwest border to process, to care for unaccompanied alien children, to help that whole thing. Now, when you take all these people from their jobs, who's doing their jobs? Let's say you have a high-speed Homeland Security investigations agent who's running a massive child pornography case. He's going after 20, 30 targets, and all of a sudden he gets pulled to go work on the Southwest border. What happens to those pornographers and everybody else? Nobody's investigating. So you're taking these resources from everywhere, from New York, from Maine, from anywhere, and sending them to the Southwest border. All those cases, you know just as well as I do in the law enforcement world, if you're working a big case, it's your case, it's your baby. And trying to hand that off to someone else is gonna be like, I got my 20 other cases I'm working. That thing goes off to the side. So you're pulling these resources.
Jason, you know something? I feel you, and I agree with that. But in New York, we have a DA who's leaving, has blamed this whole thing on COVID. So they are out of their mind, these people. They're nuts. They are really out of their mind.
We had a guest on the other night named Sean the Connerboy. He was on the subway, and he saved a lady from getting stabbed to death.
I saw that.
So nobody called him. The mayor didn't call him.
Is that not outrageous?
The governor didn't call him. The police commissioner didn't call. Nobody called him to say thank you. Nobody gave him an attaboy. Nobody gave him the key to the city. For crying out loud, this is a good Samaritan that put his life on the line, knowing that that perpetrator had a knife, and she got stabbed all up here in the chest. He was trying to kill her, and nothing.
Could you imagine that? The mayor didn't call him. The governor, well, he's collecting his $5 million on his book and taking attaboys for his COVID policy, you know. And then, but the PC, not even the PC.
Yeah,
you know, you get good press when you praise someone.
Send them a text message or something. Send them with an emoji.
Yeah, not even nothing. Not even an emoji, like a thumbs up. Like, hey, good job.
This thing right there. All the
but Jason, what we're getting at is it's the whole philosophy of this woke, progressive nonsense that's taken over our government. I swear to God, I want to move to Florida just because of DeSantis. I get New York. You want to see the clowns that are running for New York City mayor? I'm going to show you because I keep this picture always in the queue, just so everyone can see. This is 9 clowns running for the Democratic nomination. It's horrendous. These two over here, the one over here, I don't even know her name. She made the statement that there's no correlation between safety and the police. Get out of here. Go to Seattle. You know, that's ridiculous. I almost knocked my light over. I'm getting so. This one here, Maya Wiley, she is a total like defund the police person. And the guy up on the right here, another moron, defund the police. He's the New York City controller. This guy, what's his name, Wang? He has also clueless. He likes comprehensive basic income. These people are out of their mind.
You know, what I like, you know, I don't even know where to go. You know, New York, man. And when you said bring up Florida, I'm like,
it's not just New York; it's the whole damn country.
There's not enough room.
You know what? Did you see that thing about "Make America Florida"?
Yeah, this is true.
Did you see that, Bill?
I didn't see
it.
There's a
thing. It says "Make America Florida."
I've got 19. I'm looking right now. I got 19 months and 17 days left till I can retire. And Florida and Texas don't mess with your federal retirement. So I'm like,
But you know something? If they get these woke people from California moving to Texas, they're gonna flip a red state blue. Yeah. I mean,
maybe not. People learn.
I don't know.
People in the live chat say,
also don't forget too that, you know, they move out of one state and go into another. They could come close to flipping that other state, but maybe the other, like New York, for example, you get rid of all these people fleeing. There's a lot of people here that are Republicans that voted for Trump, even in New York City, but you couldn't beat them. You couldn't overwhelm them. And who knows what the hell happened, but upstate, you get out. You just get out of New York. You drive a little bit, you know, where Bill lives.
I might have to go back to Jersey and run for Congress.
No, I think
Jersey. You're right, but Jersey's big time blue state too. They got a knuckleheaded governor there too.
Is that what you want to do? You have political aspirations?
I don't know, man. I can't keep watching nothing happen here, man.
I can see it. I can see it with the tattoos. That's the way you got to roll, though.
Yeah,
don't go with the suit and don't try to get all of a sudden clean up your act. Go in just like that.
Nah, this is me. This is when you're gonna. I'm not gonna shave.
You ever watch the border control guy? I forget his name. He's a big guy and he goes into Congress, and he gets so frustrated talking.
I love that.
AOC was saying things.
Yeah, he goes,
no one that crosses the border is breaking any laws.
And then he came with a law.
Yes, they are. They are illegally crossing the border. That is a crime.
It's an actual law.
It's like
and why don't they talk about who started all these like really tough laws? Was Clinton in '90s, man. That's when I first was when I got out of the Army in the '90s, I was gonna go into the U.S. Border Patrol, but I ended up going to college instead. But that's when the massive hiring started, is because the border was getting crazy blown away. And they try to say the fences don't work, but Think about it this way. If you're anybody who's not familiar with San Diego, there's a 14-mile fence, and it goes from the ocean all the way up 14 miles in. And before that, it was like the Wild West.
Is that the fence?
That's it, right? Well, I think that's a pier. That's not really the fence.
Oh, okay.
It's close to it. Yeah.
You know, one of the things about the fences is that
it's just like that.
If you have a fence, what happens is that people that are looking to get into the country, to cross the border, they're not going to go to that area to try to cross the border there because you have a fence.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that your area is safe from all the other crimes or all the other unknown people that could come in there and commit crime. They're going to go and do whatever they got to do somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's the thing about those fences. And like the 14 miles, Chula Vista, a suburb of San Diego, was right there. You cross the border, you're right into it. And before, there was so much traffic, human traffic coming across. And ever since that fence came up, they put up development after development, pumping in millions and millions of dollars in construction and taxes and everything else you want. I mean, so it became a prosperous area. Everybody else crossed on the other side of the fences. But, you know, I always like to tell people I was former infantry. So we always try to funnel, quote unquote, the enemy or traffic into certain areas. And that's where you put your bodies. That's where you put your technology. That's where you put your infrared sensors. That's where you put your thermals. That's where you put your sensors. That's where you put your agents. And you'll still have to patrol the fence line, but you're funneling traffic. And it's
Jason, keep that thought. We have to go to commercial.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. Guys and gals, we are sponsored by the best hot sauce in the world. Silk City hot sauce is made in small batches using pure ingredients. Locally grown peppers are the foundation of every single bottle of Silk City hot sauce. They have many different flavors from mild to wild. You can check it out at silkcityhotsauce.com. Trust me when I tell you it's delicious. It's yummy. I have it every day. And if you put in OTC and the coupon code OTC for Off the Cuff, you'll get a 15% discount. And trust me when I tell you, it'll spice up your food and you'll be very happy I told you that.
All you New Yorkers tired of the tax increases that are coming, sick of the politics in New York City, the governor making $5 million while he's at work. I wish I could have done that as a police sergeant, make $5 million writing a book while I'm working. Anyway, Carol Waters is a realtor down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She's part of the Beach Realty Group. She worked as a bartender for 20 years at Fitzpatrick's Hotel in Manhattan. Her husband, Rob Mayen, is a former NYPD cop that rolled over to the fire department. They're two of the top real estate salespeople down in Myrtle Beach. Carol Waters, realtor, give her a call at 914-261-6681 or reach her by carolwaterssalesmyrtlebeach@gmail.com. If you guys are going to get in trouble from watching our show and actually acting out some of our suggestions, you may need an attorney. And the lawyer who we're recommending is Joseph W. Murray. He's a big supporter of Police Off the Cuff. He has a website, joe@jmurray-law.com. Great guy, retired member of the service, and I recommend Joe Murray very highly. And all you folks that are in the live chat, thank you guys so much for supporting Police Off the Cuff. 12-step woman. What's that?
I said, who do we got out there?
We got lots of people. Spirits Heart, Richella and Peter Pranzo, of course, Harlem Raiders, Dawn Marie, Ryan Investigative Group, MC Video, Princess Mitch,
Joan Guerrero, 12-step woman.
Yep. Stephen Washkill, the great Dr. Stephen Washkill, Spirits Heart again. All you folks supporting us, Joan Guerrero, you said that. A lot of repeats here. 12-step woman again. Christopher Strom is here. He's all the way from Virginia too. Dawn Marie. And all you guys, thank you so much. Spirits Heart, thank you so much for supporting Police Off the Cuff.
Hey, thank you so much for all the positive feedback that we got on our interview with Joe Pistone. It's you guys were great for your response, and the thing is blowing up, and we appreciate that.
All the way from Russia, Anna Shipalaskaiva. I can't even say that name, but I tried my best.
You did good, though.
Seth Magabone.
Seth Magabone. He's messing with us.
Former 82nd Airborne. Hoorah, hoorah.
I don't know how you guys are putting me on after Joe Pistone. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you came on after. What a guy to follow, huh?
I mean, know.
What a legend, like a
absolute
superstar,
legend, man.
And he took a lot of ribbing, and he was great with it,
So when you worked at the Border Patrol, tell us what a day on patrol is like, just so our audience knows. Like they know what we have a lot of former cops. We know what a cop day is like. What is the Border Patrol agent day like?
Now, my days in the Border Patrol a while ago, but I still keep a lot of good friends over there. So you could be like, our station had, when you were just regular line agent, you would either be processing one day, meaning all these bodies coming in, or one day you're sitting in a truck watching a fence rust, make sure no one's jumping over it. But I was lucky enough to be by the Tijuana Mountains. So for a lot of time, I was able to go up and track. So you go up, a sensor would go off, and then you would track out a group of aliens, and you'd track and track and track until you found them. And that was the best part of the job. And it was just, it's just, you never know what you're going to run into. You're going to run into a family. You're going to run into a felon. You're going to run into a gang member. You're going to run into, someone needs help. Someone needs water. Someone needs this. Someone needs that. And someone's going to run. Someone always runs. That's why the best thing to do is always sneak up on them, behind them, so they can't run back to Mexico. But anyway, they're
running towards the border, though, right? Because once they cross the line, that's it. They're in.
Yeah, once they cross the line, they're in. I mean, but back then, if you arrested them, they could get, if someone comes across the border and they have a felony and they've been deported before, like actual deported, not just returned, voluntary return, you could actually charge them federally. So those are the types that really don't want to get caught. They're the ones that are like, hey, you know what? I can go and do 2-3 years, depending on, who's catching them. So, it just depends. I was lucky enough later on to work just the mountain unit. I worked the mountains for a while. And then right before I got out, about 6 months before I got out, I did the all-terrain vehicle unit. So I got to drive ATVs at midnight on the Mesa. So it was fun, man.
Are you by yourself or are you with a partner?
9 times out of 10, at least back then, you were by yourself. Now, the ATV unit, you have a whole group of us. But a lot of times you go out and check out the traffic by yourself and then call on backup if you need it.
Jason, what's the morale like of the Border Patrol now, since they've basically had their balls cut off by this administration?
Yeah, that's exactly what their morale is like right now. It really is. It's especially ICE. I spent a lot of my career in ICE. And
they were being demonized. These American heroes were being demonized by these politicians. It's almost like when the New York City Council demonizes police officers. I feel like going into their meeting and slapping the shit out of every one of them.
Abolish ICE. And I used to tell people, I'm like, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And they're like, well, we can start something new, because ICE is it's made up of old DOJ, INS special agents, deportation officers back then, and then also customs special agents. So 40% of the ICE charter is immigration. So that falls under enforcement and removal operations. And then you have Homeland Security investigations. So anything that has a border nexus, anything that has a nexus to international, HSI investigates it. So when they're saying abolish ICE, they're really saying abolish people who are going after child pornographers, child exploitation, money launderers, narco traffickers, everything.
Terrorism as well.
Yeah, terrorism. They do.
After one munitions. Of these happens, after we have a terrorist attack, because we're years removed right now, but we were getting hit with more than a few terrorist attacks from other countries here, and everybody wanted to know, what is the FBI doing? What is the Border Patrol doing? What are they doing?
Well, we wonder what the FBI has a total different agenda these days.
I'm not
they
even
just go after Republicans that they don't do their job because they're being directed by a political agenda. It's disgusting.
Well, that's what the line agent, and that's the morale that I really care about. We all know that a lot of times the cream of the crop doesn't rise to the top. A lot of times it's shit. I mean, it's the same way in the federal government. A lot of those little, they have their little mafias where they move up in the ranks and they pull all their shit with them. And that's the same way in the federal government. A lot of people, the grass isn't greener if you jump from one agency to the next. I've been in 4 or 5 different agencies over the past 20-something years. And I've always seen some of the same type of people rise to the top. It's few and far between that you're going to have a solid leader at the top who's going to take shit for his troops.
They used to say on the NYPD, when you made sergeant, they took one ball. When you made lieutenant, they took the second. And when you made captain, you were a eunuch.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'll never get promoted in the government. And that's the thing, same thing when I was in the army. I'm never going to get promoted. I'm not one of those people. I mean, who's going to promote this guy? You know, it's like I could talk all shit all day long and be truthful about it, but you don't want, it was that old adage, Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. Because when you start really talking about morale and you really start talking about, hey, we need to boost these people up or we're going to lose them, you're finding people leaving the federal government 5-6 years in now. Some people 10, 12 years in. It used to be like, hey, you know what? You get in the Fed, your foot's in the door, you're going to do your 20, 25 in law enforcement, you're going to get out, you're going to get a good pension, retirement. But now I'm seeing people leaving all day long for non-federal jobs.
Well, like you say, the rank and file, they're still doing their job. But when you saw guys like Strzok and McCabe and Comey, it was really disheartening to see those three, you know, especially Strzok. Strzok was a disgrace.
Oh,
and he's a veteran. He was an Army veteran.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Christopher Strom says Jason Piccolo is a true patriot. And thank you for your service to our nation. And thank you, Police Off the Cuff, for having him on. That's very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that he shows that he's got balls to follow Joe Pistone. So
I know. I didn't know that. I would have been like,
we're gonna give him a Purple Heart, a Police Off the Cuff Purple Heart for following Joe.
You
Pistone.
better. I better get a coffee mug or something, man. Holy crap! I got to get some of that swag you got going back there.
We actually have to do. You know, we're all out of our mugs because we ordered we did it all wrong. That was our first thing of swag. It costs more money to ship that mug than it did to buy it. You know. I'm sure
I know drop shipping. Yeah, drop shipping, man, and that's a whole conversation for another day. Trying to support podcasts, but no. And you know, my claim to fame is like, you know, I thought we'd maybe touch on it real quick because I've talked about it a million times.
Go ahead.
But you know, if you Google me or, you know, look me up anytime before 2017, 2018, you won't find anything because there wasn't anything out there. I was never doing media. But, you know, in 2015, I used to work for this White House Security Council. I used to work for the Department of Homeland Security's Human Smuggling Cell. And I think there was about 13 or 14 of us. And we were charged with stopping all that little kid traffic coming across the border, all the smuggling. And when I found out that all these little kids coming across the border, and they're not all MS-13s. I hate when people say that. Some of them were, but not all of them. We're talking like little tender age kids coming across the border by the thousands, and coming in. ICE gets them, gives them to Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services gives them to a sponsor facility, a contractor facility who's giving these kids off to criminals. And not all of them are criminals. Not all these sponsors are criminals, but I found out that a lot of them were. And so I said, how are we releasing these kids as criminals? And why aren't we getting them back into our custody? I'm like, you know, just as well as I do, we can run an op and get the last known addresses, almost like a fugitive operations type thing, and get these kids, bring them back in our custody, and then remand them to a proper sponsor. It fell on deaf ears, so I said, you know what? Fuck it. I legally blew the whistle on Obama and all of his people. And that's one of the reasons when all these pictures of kids came out with the cages, that's when I started doing Fox. I started doing Tucker, everybody you can imagine, OAN a million times. I was because, like, you know what? This has been happening since 2011, 2012. It wasn't a Trump problem. And the reason I want to go back a second, I say legally blew the whistle because I went to the Office of Special Counsel. I didn't leak. And I went through Senator Charles Grassley. I went all over the place to get the message out there. This is what really pisses me off about this current administration. I tend to stay a little middle when it comes to a lot of politics stuff. I just tell you the facts that I know. But Senator Charles Grassley took my information and he made all these people coming in to pick up these little kids, these sponsors, made them get their criminal histories done, made them get their fingerprints done, you know, to make sure that they're not criminals. In March of this year, they stopped that. They stopped doing criminal history checks on all these sponsors, stopped doing all that. So all these little kids, what I say, the traffic's up 163% with little kids coming across the border. These sponsors aren't getting a criminal history strict. So how many of these little kids are ending up in sex offenders, sex traffickers, sex world, labor trafficking world? That is really what pisses me off. And that is kind of one of the reasons I'll talk about that all day long, is because when these kids come across the border, their parents or whoever is bringing them, having them brought to the border. There was a video a couple months ago where they showed them dropping the little kids across the fence. I think there were 5. You saw that? And if anybody hasn't seen it, Google kids getting dropped across the fence. Or you know what? Use DuckDuckGo. Get off of Google. And these little kids are getting dropped and left there. And, you know, their parents or whoever might want to get these kids here. So when Amnesty comes, that kid will be here. They say 60% of the kids coming across the border go to a familial relation. Where do those other 40% of the kids go? And that's the reason I want to talk about. That's the reason I always bring it up whenever I do conversations like that. Because not only is the border broken when it comes to criminals and stuff, but now you got thousands and thousands and thousands of kids. Between the same 5 months last year and this year, last year, 19,000 kids came across the southwest border under Trump. This year, the same 5-month period, 47,000 kids. 47,000 kids, you know? I'm a dad. I got, you know, when I blew the whistle, that's one of the big reasons I blew the whistle, because I used to have a database and I could see the kids. They used to take pictures of the kids, and these were babies, man, 2 to 3 year old kids getting released to these criminals. And my kids at the time were 6 and 8. And I was like, fuck that. We're not going to do shit. I don't give a fuck. And that is why I will. And that's, long story short, is that's why I will never get promoted in the U.S. government.
Well, you know, Jason, all that stuff you said is very powerful and very true. But unfortunately, the press isn't reporting it, and that's you know, they call you're educated. They call the press the fourth estate, right?
Yeah,
and that's who's supposed to put the checks and balances on our government, and they're not doing their job because they're biased to one part of the government.
Listen, I wrote a couple books, but unlike that dude from your place that's getting $5 million, I wrote those books to say what's going on at the southwest border, and I priced them for like a penny over what they cost, because I don't make money on them, and Amazon makes me sell them for 99 cents. I don't care. All these podcasts, all these shows, I never made a dime off of it. I don't want to. I want people in your audience or anywhere else to know that shit's fucked up. We got to fix it. And the only way we're going to fix it is if we, you know, keep talking about it.
Well, we're actually capitalists. Steve Cologne, thank you so much for that 99 super chat. As he's talking about, he doesn't care about money. Mark and I do care about money.
You know, hey, can we? Is anybody recording right now? Because I could actually use some money. So, hey, you know what? If anybody does want to support Jason Piccolo, I am 902 subscribers right now on my YouTube channel. So if you can go over to the Protectors and subscribe to the Protectors to my YouTube channel, I'd be very much appreciated.
Yeah, Jason, you need 1,000 before good things can start happening.
That's what I'm saying. I'm at 902. I need some subscribers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting thing. Getting to the 1,000 is difficult.
It is.
Then once you get over that 1,000, then the rest of it comes. I don't know. You just wake up every day.
It's still not easy, but
it's still not. It's still not. But yeah, we gained 2,000 more. It seemed like within a couple of months. But building up to 1,000, that was the problem.
I've got 909 right now. Boom.
Yeah, you really have to promote it. You got to say subscribe, hit the bell, like the show. You know.
Every single person that you meet, you know what you do? You go, hey, you have YouTube on your phone? And they go, yeah. And they're like, give me your phone.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that.
Subscribe. That's what I was doing.
You know what I'm doing this week? Hey, you know what I'm doing this weekend? On Saturday, I'm going to the mall. I'm just going to start walking around and be like, hey, put your mask on. Take it off. Here, let me see your phone. Put your little face ID on there.
Yeah.
And just go around. All I need is I'm just gonna be like, look, I need 80.
What are they doing in Washington in regards to that? Because
you just got 2 subscribers from our fans.
Boom, Joe Reek.
910 now.
Joe, if I could do a reverse dollar.
Retired inspector Joe Reek.
Joe Reek.
Yeah. I walked into the supermarket today, and I noticed that nobody had. There was quite a few people that didn't have their mask on, so I just took mine off because I'm vaccinated. But what's going on in Washington over there where you're at with the masks?
Yeah, it's, you can actually walk around, because I actually live in Virginia. So it's still kind of up in the air. It's nice because I don't wear the mask in a lot of places, but you go to the mall and stuff like that, you have the mask. I tend to stay away from all the public areas around here. So the bad thing is, like, when you go to the shooting ranges around here, you still have to wear a mask, which is a pain in the ass when you put your goggles on and all the other shit. But
there's Jason, nice and handsome without
That's
his
a
mask
good-looking
on.
guy, huh? Holy shit! My mom would be proud. I'm good from the neck up.
And
Wow!
Here he's all tatted up and Diesel and stuff. Look at that.
Oh, Diesel.
You know what they used to say on the job? They used to say, "Yeah, he's dead from the neck up."
Yeah.
I remember we used to interview people in the interview room. They would say, "Oh, he's Diesel," and I'd say, "Like me?" And she'd go, "No, not like you."
Oh man, you know, I needed this tonight. This is good.
You know, you have to have a lot of laughs on your podcast. When
you do, man.
When it's too straight, people are like, "What the hell?" You know, you got to.
I'm not gonna. I did one on trafficking last night because that's my next book is actually going to be on domestic trafficking, and because I want people to understand about what's going on within our borders, within our towns, within our cities, within our suburbs, within the urban areas, everywhere. It's happening everywhere, and if you turn a blind eye to it, you're pretty much turning a blind eye to the kids and children and stuff like that. You know, just as well as I do, when you used to look at a prostitute, you used to think, hey, you know what? They want that life. That's their life. They're strung out. They're dope or whatever. But now when you throw these pimps in a variable and you throw in teenagers and young kids that are getting, you know, trafficked out there for sex, I'm just like, it blows my mind. So the next book is, and I will solicit people who want to be interviewed who are in this police world, because my goal is to interview as many cops, like real bona fide people who are on the street. Feds are great. I love feds because I'm a fed. But I want to talk to cops who work sex trafficking. I want to talk to them. I want to get their stories. And I plan on interviewing as many people as possible. And I'm going to interview victims. I'm going to interview prosecutors. I'm going to interview the pimps themselves. And then I'm going to interview the survivors. I'm going to show that there is a way out of the game. There is a way out of the life. And that's my next goal, is to really shine a light on that.
Well, a lot of blue states are legalizing prostitution right now, which brings us to a point where, how do we know who's being trafficked if nobody's getting arrested?
Exactly. How are you going to know if if they're legalizing it and you go and arrest a pimp? You can't arrest a pimp unless and how are you going to talk to a victim?
Well, there's no arrest being made.
No, that's what I mean. You can't.
If you know it's a house of prostitution, what are they doing in there? Unless you can articulate that there's probably drugs in there, or maybe in some states drugs are legal too now. Firearms. Well, if it's just prostitution, well, that's not illegal. So, and a lot of states are going towards that direction right now. So how are we to
Jason, you 100% hit that on the head. You're right. There's the human trafficking thing for the sex trade. If it's not going to be prosecuted in most jurisdictions, it's going to be like human trafficking is legal, you know?
And they'll go there. They will go to those jurisdictions to sell those victims. And, you know, I like to tell people it's not just, you know, this isn't happening in just the sleazy hotels. These are happening in main hotels. These are happening with people who have bank. You know, there are people out there who will easily spend whatever $200, $300, $500 to get a victim and victimize them over and over again. And also children. A lot of people, I mean, obviously your audience knows the reality of evil out there, but people paying to have sex with a child, you know, 5 times a day, 10 times a day, over and over again. There are really sick sons of bitches out there. They're truly evil people out there. And we don't live in a bubble. We kind of have this, you know, it took me a while to get out of my bubble. But a lot of people are in that bubble. 320 million people in this country plus. And how many millions and how many 100+ million live in a bubble that they don't realize that little kids right this second, and they're probably in their town, are getting fucked by an adult male. You know? And I like
Jason, it's all connected also to this whole theme of decarceration. You know, emptying the jails and prisons. There's another woke idea that in my mind is outrageous, you know. And you're right. When you talk about human trafficking, if no one's getting arrested, they don't want anyone in the jails or prisons, no one's getting punished, this is going to flourish.
Well, there is a small, tiny percentage of the population that is trying to kind of sort of explain away pedophilia.
No, the fuck that. I don't.
No, but there is.
I know they are. They're trying to say that.
There was a Rutgers University professor that wrote that.
I saw that. I saw it.
Horrendous. That it should be legalized.
This is a way to make that possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going
desensitization,
if you're not going to arrest people for prostitution, you're never going to find out who's there against their will.
No, you're not.
Who's underage. And
who are you going to believe? A kid who's been getting fucking. Not only are they getting someone's having sex with them, raped. They're getting raped, and then they're getting strung out because the traffickers are going to keep them strung out. So who are you gonna believe?
Well, you almost have like a law enforcement Amnesty International that goes to rescue kids. That's what you're going to need, you know.
My proposal is, you know, you have an ATF, you have a DEA, you have an FBI, but we don't have anybody dedicated to going after traffickers. You can have, and the reason I say you need a dedicated force to do it is because every agency may be on a task force, but their homeland, their mother calls them back to do anything else. They pull them right from the task force. And we know this. And I guarantee you a lot of the cops and everybody else out there, not all the cream of the crop gets put on a task force.
No.
So we need a damn agency that's going to go after traffickers, domestic traffickers. Because if let's say there's 150,000 kids, children, teenagers right now being trafficked in the United States at this very moment, is that not a problem that we can't just put a new agency together, cut rid of all this bullshit bureaucracy and go after them?
Well, I'd have a hard time trying to figure out how you're going to do that if you want to legalize prostitution.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know how is that going to work. If you call up and you go, listen, I think the house next door is they have prostitutes there because there's guys coming in and out all day.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to visit that location.
And Mark, you're 100% right. And how about the whole?
You're not articulating a crime.
No, the whole craziness of legalizing, having sex with children. Where these nuts.
You're never going to find out what age they are because you're not going to be going over there.
Yeah, you can't go in there. You can't go in there.
So
there's no safety, there's no welfare, and now you're going to throw these social workers out there who have no idea what the hell's going on.
Oh, the social workers are brilliant. They're violence interrupters. They're gonna solve all our problems.
Well, double the manpower because now, in order to bring this clinician over there, you're going to have a police escort because the situation may turn violent. And then if it does, then he's going to have to call for backup, which is the original car that was going to handle this in the first place.
There was a question. Seth, HSI does go after sex traffickers. I have a really, really good buddy. He's doing it all the time. But one thing, ICE had a job announcement. My buddy sent it to me the other day. And guess what it was for? Social workers. They're hiring hundreds of social workers, man. We don't need to hire agents or officers. We need to hire social workers.
We have a child graduating from college right now as a social worker. You used to look at him like, what the hell are you doing? But there's actually going to be a lot of jobs for social workers. So if you're there and your child is graduating with a social worker degree,
hey, you're gonna have your foot in the door right there.
Jason, we are at almost the hour mark.
No, I gotta go for. I got another hour in me.
Yeah, I know you do, and we probably could.
You're always welcome to come back.
But we'll definitely have you back. But something, we raised you to 921.
Oh damn!
Yeah. So look, man,
this is an open invite. I want both of you guys on my show soon.
All right. Well, absolutely. Look, we believe in cross pollination.
So do I.
And that's the way.
Something like that.
Have you gone on Jay Wiley's show?
Yeah, a while ago.
Oh, yeah, good, great guy, great guy. I help a lot of people get on his show because every single person I've referred, he's loved. So I won't refer you to him unless he's gonna love you. So every person I sent to him, yeah. Well, but you've already been on his show, so there's no point me recommending you, right? You already been there.
It's been a while though, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe you have to go for sloppy seconds. I don't know.
Yeah,
but listen, all your police off the cuff fans, thank you so much for your support. Jason Piccolo is a American patriot, great guest, Dr. Jason. And you're a CP. I used to be a CPP too, but I let it go because I was like, they want me to take courses. I'm a college professor. What the hell do I need to
I know,
stupid
man.
courses for? So I just let it drop. But anyway, you folks that have been supporting us, we really appreciate you guys. And Jason, you knocked him up from 908 to 921. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Keep subscribing to him. And Mark and I are very soon have a website connected to this. And I want to tell you a little secret. Joe Pistone and Bob Starkman asked to come on the show together. They want to come back. So they had so much fun. They want to come back. So I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah,
you are.
To Mike Colon, MC Audio, he was wondering how come he didn't get he didn't get a mug yet. Well, you should have showed up at the party.
That's right. We gave away the rest of our mugs at the party.
Well, I wasn't at the party. And also, Bill, I can't seem to comment. So the next time we do a show, you got to give me access to be able to comment as well.
What, on the live chat?
Yeah, in the comments. I wanted to write back to MC Audio and say that in private, but I can't.
Mark, MC Audio, we both agree is going to be a superstar in broadcasting.
I know, but still,
so he's got nerve. He's got nerve coming our way.
He should have been. He should have been at the party.
He's going to sign a 7-figure contract one of these days.
If I can think of anybody who was, should have been there and was missed, was MC Audio, Mike.
That's for sure.
So thank you so much, Dr. Jason Piccolo, for coming on the show tonight. You were great. You got a lot of fans out there.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, everybody.
And we'll definitely have you back. Police Off the Cuff fans, thank you so much. On behalf of Mark DeMeo, Bill Cannon, and Dr. Jason Piccolo, good night.